As you may know, I don't have the best relationship with dough, but I've always found it incredibly enticing to make homemade pasta. So this week, I not only challenged myself to make pasta from scratch for the first time, but make 3 completely different kinds and turn them all into delicious dishes. Let's move from not really a success to absolutely banging. I started with a classic Italian egg pasta, the tagliatelle. I used them to make a simple but super tasty lemon and scallop pasta. For a simple egg pasta dough, create a mound of flour and form a well in the middle. Crack in your eggs and add a splash of olive oil and a pinch of salt. Use a fork to whisk up your eggs and gradually incorporate the surrounding flour. Once combined, knead the dough by hand for about 8 to 10 minutes until smooth and elastic. Wrap in cling film and let it rest for at least 30 minutes. After resting, dust your work surface liberally with flour and start rolling out your dough. Roll it out as thinly as you can, 1 or 2 millimeters maximum, which is definitely not what I did. Next up, for the cutting, don't do whatever I was doing. Instead, fold your dough into thirds. Use a sharp knife to cut your dough into your desired noodle thickness and sprinkle with a bit more flour to prevent sticking. For our garnish, add a couple of slices of prosciutto to a baking tray and bake at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 8 to 10 minutes until crispy. In the meantime, finely mince 1 clove of garlic and zest and juice your lemon. Then, while your pasta water is heating up, set up a pan over high heat and add a splash of olive oil. Season, then sear your scallops for 1 to 2 minutes on one side until brown and crispy. Heat them through from the other side for maximum 1 minute to prevent them from becoming dry and rubbery. In the same pan, add a generous amount of butter along with your minced garlic. Stir fry for 30 seconds, then add your lemon zest followed by 1 tablespoon of the juice. Add your pasta to boiling water for 2 or 3 minutes, then add them directly to the pan with a bit of the water. Toss until your pasta is coated in a beautiful creamy lemon sauce. Add your pasta to a plate, then garnish with a couple of scallops, a few shards of your crispy prosciutto, and a little handful of onion sprouts. And that's our first dish done. My second attempt was at making potato gnocchi. There's a bit of a controversy. Is it pasta? Is it a dumpling? Honestly, I don't really care what you call it, as long as it's delicious. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, back to the gnocchi. First, we need to cook our potatoes. I like to steam mine because it introduces less moisture to our mashed potato. Once they're soft, cut them in half and we're ready to mash. A good trick how to quickly and relatively effortlessly do that is to press the halved potatoes cut side down through a sieve. This should result in smooth mash and all the skin being left in the sieve. Crack an egg into your mash and season with salt. Combine into a wet paste and gradually add your flour until you have a smooth and bouncy dough. Next up, add your cherry tomatoes to a baking dish and season with oil, salt and pepper. Bake them under the broiler until they burst, smell amazing and get those beautiful little charred spots. In the meantime, blanch your basil in simmering water for 30 seconds, then transfer straight into an ice bath. Pat the leaves dry, then add them to your blender and cover with olive oil. Blend for a couple of seconds until your oil turns green, then strain through a cheesecloth and you'll end up with a beautiful green basil oil. Next up, cover your work surface with flour. Roll your dough into a thin log, then cut it into bite-sized pieces. Add your gnocchi to boiling water for a few minutes, then remove them once they're floating on the surface. If you're not immediately using them, shock them in an ice bath, then pat them dry on a kitchen towel. Afterwards, cover with a bit of oil to prevent them from sticking to each other. When you're ready to eat, melt some butter in a pan. Once foaming, add your gnocchi and fry until golden brown and crispy. Add a bit of golden gnocchi to your plate, then top them with those beautifully roasted tomatoes. Crown the dish with your burrata and finish with your green oil and a sprig of basil. And that's our second dish done. Without a doubt, my best dish I've made this week was with my homemade udon. I tossed them in a rich, creamy umami sauce and topped them with seaweed and salmon roe. First, we dissolve our salt into water. That way we can evenly distribute the salt throughout the dough. Add your flour to a bowl and gradually incorporate the water until you end up with a relatively dry but combined dough. Transfer to a Ziploc bag and let it rest for at least 30 minutes. Now for the fun part. Place your Ziplocked dough between 2 kitchen towels and start trampling it. This is not a joke, it's actually the traditional method to make udon and a lot easier than kneading it with your hands. Once you satisfyingly flattened out your dough, take it out of the bag. Fold all your edges to the center, then turn the dough seam side down and tuck in the edges to form a smooth round ball. Repeat this process a total of 5 times. Once thoroughly kneaded, transfer your dough ball back into the Ziploc bag and let it rest on the countertop for 3 hours. It's a long rest, I know, but trust me, your dough will thank you later. After the resting time, cover your work surface in cornstarch. Roll out your dough to a rectangular-ish shape of 3 mm or 1/8 of an inch thickness. Fold your dough into thirds, then using a sharp knife, cut them into noodles about the same width as the thickness of your dough. Toss them in a bit more cornstarch to prevent sticking. Bring a pot of water to a boil and cook your udon for about 10 minutes. Drain and rinse with cold water to remove any excess starch and stop the cooking process. For our sauce, all you have to prep is to finely mince some garlic. Sauté the garlic in butter until fragrant before pouring in your cream. Add your dashi powder, soy sauce and mirin to the sauce and gently simmer until it slowly starts to thicken. Turn off the heat, then add your freshly grated parmesan and salmon roe. Toss your udon until every strand is coated in that amazing sauce. Add your noodles to a bowl and top with nori strips and some more salmon roe. And that's our final dish done. And one hell of a dish it is. So there you have it, 3 variations of pasta with ranging levels of success. Some turned out a little thick, some a little ugly, but eventually every single one of them turned into a delicious dish. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned a thing or two. I'll see you next time, and until then, aguete!